live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us for 2 News Live. I'm Mark Cabell, filling in for Brian Schnee. It is Tuesday, February 6th, 5 days before the Super Bowl. Brian is in Vegas getting ready for our coverage this week. We're going to go in depth tonight on some of the bills introduced at Utah's Capitol to strengthen protections for victims of sexual assault. Before we dive into that, let's take a look at some of our headlines today. Nicholas Rossi back in court today after refusing to show up for 2 of his last appearances. Today, the judge agreed to drop the sexual battery charge against Rossi. Prosecutors say Rossi raped his girlfriend back in 2008 and was charged after the state cleared a backlog of rape kits that found his DNA. Rossi is scheduled to be back in court on March 5th. A jury finds 45-year-old Jennifer Crumbley guilty of involuntary manslaughter after she failed to stop her teenage son Ethan from shooting up a Michigan high school back in 2021, killing 4 students. The case now setting a new precedent that parents of school shooters can be held responsible for their child's actions. Crumbley facing up to 15 years in prison now. New developments, and not a good one for Boeing, in the Alaska Airlines door plug blowout case of last month. The 4 bolts that were supposed to hold the Boeing 737 MAX 9's door plug in place were apparently missing before it blew out. That's according to the NTSB, which released its preliminary report on the incident today. The regulators say the lack of damage to the plug where the bolts were supposed to attach to the fuselage of the plane indicate they were never on to begin with. Boeing saying they'll do everything to make sure this never happens again. An appeals court has ruled former President Trump can stand trial in connection to charges he plotted to overturn the results of the 2020 election. It was a unanimous ruling. The 3-judge panel rejected Trump's claims that he is immune from prosecution for his actions while in the White House and leading up to the Capitol riots on January 6th. Trump's legal team says they will appeal that ruling. Okay, as we go in depth tonight, you can always get in touch with us during the show. We like to hear your feedback or questions. You can use the hashtag 2NewsLive and you can join in on the conversation. We like hearing from you. Okay, preventing sexual violence in Utah, one of the main topics being focused on up on Capitol Hill today. And today, dozens of victims advocates and violence prevention specialists up on the Hill calling on lawmakers to pass bills they believe could prevent abuse from happening in Utah. Paul Nelson was at the Capitol all day today. Paul, those people were pretty vocal about the fact that they want to see changes when it comes to sexual violence in Utah.
Yeah, they were actually promoting several bills, but they did seem to have one key thing that they wanted passed, and that was a funding request from Representative Tyler Clancy. And he is asking for $2 million that would actually go towards rape crisis centers to kind of help the people who have already been, say, damaged or assaulted, that they can get the rape recovery assistance that they need. But another thing that it would fund is another $1 million to community-based organizations that deal with prevention. Programs like spotting toxic relationships, teaching people what a good relationship looks like, things like consent language, programs like that they say actually go a long way in stopping potential cases from happening in the first place. So that's the one thing that they wanted more than anything this year, is more focus on preventing sexual abuse in Utah and not just recovery, and not just focusing on catching the perpetrators and punishing them for when they do it.
Well, Paul, prevention means you got to pay for it somehow. You got to throw some money at the problem if you want to get these new programs in place. Do we have it? I know that our reserves are a little bit lower than usual, and that could mean more tax dollars coming out of our pockets as well. Any talk about that up on the Hill today?
Basically, the talk that was happening with this group today, the Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault, they were talking about just promoting this funding request as much as they possibly can. Now, as far as what else would need to maybe have money subtracted from it, nobody got into that. But that is their big issue, is that they just need funding for that prevention. But there were a couple of other bills that they were promoting. One of them is House Bill 114, which would actually make it so that victims can get the recovery services that they need free of charge, no matter where they are in the state. And also Representative Ken Ivory was on hand. He's promoting House Bill 196, and that is something that would actually take aim at what he calls ritual or organized child sex abuse. And he says that's a growing problem, not just in Utah, but all across the country.
All right, Paul, thank you. There's been a big look at mental health services this year with a lot of bills focusing on that. And now Sexual violence in our state, much needed. Thanks a lot. As the legislative session continues, stay with 2 News. We'll be tracking the bills and the issues that impact you and your family and all of us here in Utah. Just download our 2 News app for breaking news alerts from the Capitol. Okay, in California, historic rainfall across Southern California again continuing today. The National Weather Service noting that nearly half the average seasonal rainfall, half for Los Angeles, has already come down in just a 48-hour period. It's the second day in a row of record daily rainfall in LA. It's the 3rd wettest 2-day rainfall in downtown LA since record keeping started. That was way back in 1877. Several areas under flash flood warnings and watches with the potential for more mudslides. 3 people dead after being hit by falling trees. Some people say this isn't the storm of 100 years, it's the storm of 1,000 years. Trent Parker joining us with a look at our weather, our first alert forecast, which is kind of tied to what's been going on in California.
It very much is. If we take a look at the water vapor imagery and we trace this atmospheric river all the way back to its origins, we're talking about well south and west of Hawaii, near what's called the Intertropical Convergence Zone. And that's basically a line of convection that circulates around the entire globe right at the equator. And that is where our source is coming from. So that's why we've been experiencing this tropical-like weather, I guess, here in February.
Look where it's pointing.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, right here into New Mexico and Arizona. So the river is actually shifting east. So that's good news for California, but they're not quite out of the woods yet, Mark. We still have a couple rainstorms to go through the rest of the week before we dry things out over the weekend.
Okay, so our skiers are going to be happy with what you're about to tell us, right?
Very happy, exactly.
You will be happy.
That's exactly right.
Snowboarders too.
Exactly, yeah. So let's go ahead and get to that forecast, and I'll show you why the skiers and snowboarders are going to be so happy. Well, it's because of all this moisture. It doesn't matter how it falls up in the mountains. Usually it's falling as snow here in Utah. A little bit of that lower elevation rain does put a damper on some of our snowpack numbers, especially here across the immediate west coast. But here in Utah, we usually do just fine with these kinds of events. Our snow levels do remain rather high, so that does create some more mild and sticky conditions out there. But one of these features here that's really interesting is this line of showers and thunderstorms that's now approaching western Arizona, and it's coming out of the due west. Some really heavy showers associated with that band right there. And then Los Angeles just keeps on getting that rain. It just keeps on pouring in Los Angeles, and that's a current look at the radar right now, and you can see just band after band. Got a moderate shower moving through, a brief break for a couple minutes, and then we've got another one that's going to move through here over the next half an hour. So we're going to keep on adding those rainfall totals on there in the Los Angeles metro area. We do have some flooded alerts, some flood advisories here for Los Angeles, as well as points to the south, including San Diego. And the rain is going to continue through there through at least about Thursday, I think, before we get a little bit of some clearing here in the weekend. There's that line of showers here approaching the western portion of Arizona, really heavy at times, but all of this instability is lifting generally to the north, so we can expect some heavier showers here in southwestern Utah over the next couple of hours and through the night tonight. Here's some water totals that I've put together since noon on Sunday. Huntsville along the Wasatch Back, Ogden Valley, 3/4 of an inch of rainfall, primarily falling as rainfall, a couple snowflakes mixed in there. 6200ths New Harmony, over a half an inch in Enterprise, as well as Wellsville up there in Cache County. Lehigh getting close to a half an inch in Utah County, and 3800ths in Kaysville, just the north of Salt Lake City. And as far as the snow goes over the last 48 hours, Deer Valley is the winner. Under that southwest flow, they like to do really well. 18 inches in the last 48. Alta picking up 14, Snowbird 13, Snow Basin 9, Powder Mountain 8, Sundance and Solitude. Sundance is also one of those spots that does really well under that southwest flow. So we'll be watching them over the next couple of days as well. And this all bodes very well for our snowpack. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about lots of oranges and even some reds here in southern Utah, but really making a big recovery back into the greens, back into the yellows across the entire state. The state is now sitting at 105% of our median snow water equivalent for this time of year, and we are doing the best in the west. We have started to make some minor improvements in California, now above 70%, still hanging on to 60% in Washington, and that's because these atmospheric rivers, they dump a lot of moisture, but they are rather mild, so that puts a damper on how much snow is actually falling up at the higher elevations, especially along the immediate west coast. Considerable avalanche danger here across the Wasatch Front, moderate danger in the Cache Valley Mountains, as well as down here towards the Manti Skyline. Down in southwestern, southeastern Utah, though, we have an avalanche warning, and this goes through Thursday at 6 a.m. I don't see them really extending that avalanche warning through the day on Friday, but we'll just have to wait and see. And again, that is for the entire southwest and southeast mountain areas, so the La Salles and the Abajos are included in that. And again, please stay off of or from underneath slopes that are steeper than 30 degrees, which is about 1/3 of a full 90-degree straight wall, if that puts a good picture in your mind. We have a live look actually from Bryce Canyon, where it's been snowing pretty much the entire day today. We've got some slush and snow-covered roads down there, and the plow crews have been trying to keep up with it, but we've got some light to moderate snow showers in that area, and they're going to continue through the night tonight, with our snow level staying right around 6,500 feet and slowly lowering over the next couple of days. So the high-resolution future radar has some moderate rainfall here in northern Utah right around 6 to 8 o'clock now. That's also the same time frame that we could be seeing some moderate to heavy rainfall down in southwestern Utah, and of course in the mountains it's all snow. So Brian Head will do very well tonight. We'll see some really good snow up here in northern Utah, or mountains as well tonight through the day tomorrow. Early morning Wednesday, we get a little bit of a break, so a little bit of a lull here in northern Utah, but the rain and snow continues down in southwestern Utah. And then this is the time frame where we could see those snow levels dropping to the valley floors. So places along I-15 from about Beaver down through Cedar City, and even maybe New Harmony getting in on that snow tomorrow afternoon. But then the snow levels drop. Later in the afternoon, we could be seeing some snow here across the southern Wasatch Front, primarily Salt Lake County south. The far northern end of the Wasatch Front is primarily going to be missed with that frontal band that moves through Wednesday afternoon and into the evening. But the mountains are just going to continue to get pounded with snow. So that is the good news for the skiers and boarders. And we've got more rain and snow filtering in for Thursday, but that's primarily affecting southern Utah. We might get a couple flurries here in northern Utah, but that's about it. Future snowfall amounts down in southern Utah, really nice, especially as you head towards Brian Head. We could be looking at 17 inches by just 10 o'clock on Wednesday, and we've got some more stormy activity to follow. So those snow totals are really going to start to encroach on that 3-foot mark, I think, by the time we get to Friday afternoon. Here in northern Utah, 21 inches at Alta by Wednesday evening, 8 inches along the Wasatch back. But here across the Wasatch Front, we're looking at very minimal snow totals. In fact, by Thursday morning, we could be only seeing maybe 1 to 3 inches at most here along the valley floors. So here's the timing of what I am concerned about as far as road travel goes. In southern Utah, it's pretty much now Tuesday afternoon through Thursday morning. So a larger time frame down there in southern Utah, as you've got a couple storms impacting you. Up here in northern Utah, we're only dealing with that storm Wednesday afternoon through Thursday morning, and that's when the temperatures could be cold enough that we might be dealing with a little bit of road slush. It's not going to be a big weather event. It's not going to impact your travel too heavily, but it's just something to keep in mind, especially if you live in some of those maybe higher benches or up in the mountain valleys. We will be watching the chance for some snow there on Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. Super Bowl forecast in Las Vegas, Sunday at 43. Looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, you can't ask for better football weather. 3 o'clock, 55 degrees, so a little bit cooler than normal, but we will be dropping into the upper 40s, so that's not too bad. And here in Salt Lake City, if you're planning on taking the grill out on Sunday afternoon, no rain or snow is in your forecast. We'll see those temperatures rather cold, a couple degrees below normal here as well. 35 at noon, 37 by 4 o'clock, so right around kickoff. We're dealing with temperatures in the mid-30s, and in St. George, 47 tomorrow, 44 on Thursday with those rain showers continuing. Might even see a couple snowflakes mixing in on Friday, cloudy skies on Saturday, clearing out for Sunday, and then we're back into the 50s Monday and Tuesday. That's pretty much right where we should be for this time of year. Mix of rain and snow here in Salt Lake City tomorrow, a little bit breezy at times as well. 41 on Thursday with those light snow showers continuing through Friday, partly cloudy skies for the weekend. Temperatures getting a little bit cool, but not terribly cold. 38 as a high is something that you might want to wear a heavier jacket during the daytime hours, but it's not like we're going to be worrying about pipes freezing anytime soon, Mark.
Hey, if you're grilling, you got the heat from the grill to keep you warm outside. Just
exactly.
Wear an extra layer, you should be just fine. And no big travel problems for people from parts across the world to people from Utah that might be either driving or flying in for the game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The entire Southwest should start to dry up as we head into Friday. So if you're headed in Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, if you're leaving, we should have pretty good weather over the next couple of days following once we get this rain out of here.
Sounds good. Keep looking at it. Keep watching it for us. Thank you, Trent. Remember, download our 2 News weather app. You need to do it right now. You'll know about any changes coming your way when it comes to the Super Bowl. If you're grilling out, if you're staying here, if you're flying to Vegas, get updated forecasts and live radar right at your location where you are. And don't forget, the app is free to download. Stay in the know, stay informed, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, Trent. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching 2 News Live. We'll be here at 5:30 Monday through Friday. We hope you join us again for more in-depth conversations on the topics that impact you and your family. Have a great Tuesday. Heidi and I will be back for 2 News at 6 on KUTV, just about 15 minutes. See you then.
This affects virtually every family in
Live
Utah.
streaming
Preventing
and on
sexual
the
abuse.
KUTV app. This is KUTV 2 News at 6.
I just sent you Alta and Snowbird's info via email. Maybe their email and their office number.